Someone must have slandered Josef K, for one morning, without having done anything truly wrong, he was arrested. This is how Franz Kafka begins his masterpiece, The Trial. It is not merely a novel, it is a prophecy of the modern world. A world of invisible laws, endless bureaucracy, and the terrifying feeling that you are guilty, even if you don't know why. But before we step into the courtroom of Josef K, we must understand the man who built this prison. Franz Kafka was not a loud revolutionary. He was a ghost in his own life. By day, he was a simple insurance clerk in Prague, buried under paperwork. By night, he was a tormented soul, writing to escape the shadow of a domineering father and a society he did not fit into. He never intended for us to read this. On his deathbed, he instructed his closest friend, Max Brod, to burn all his manuscripts. He wanted his nightmares to die with him. Fortunately for us, his friend disobeyed. Because of that betrayal, we are able to see the world through Kafka's eyes. The nightmare begins on a day that should have been a celebration. It is Josef K's 30th birthday. He wakes up expecting his breakfast, but instead, he finds two strangers in his room. They are not police officers in uniform, they are ordinary men, wearing travel suits, eating his breakfast, and drinking his coffee. They inform him, with terrifying calmness, that he is under arrest. But this is no ordinary arrest. They don't put him in handcuffs. They don't drag him to a cell. They tell him to get dressed, go to his bank, and continue his life as if nothing has happened. The arrest is not physical, it is invisible. It hangs over him like a poisonous fog. When K is finally summoned to his first interrogation, he expects a grand hall of justice with marble pillars and wise judges. Instead, he is given a vague address in a poor district of the city. He finds the court not in a government building, but in the dusty, suffocating attic of a rundown tenement house. The air is thick. The room is packed with people who seem half asleep. The ceiling is so low that people at the back have to crouch. This is the architecture of Kafka's hell. It is not fire and brimstone, it is dirt, sweat, and endless paperwork. The examining magistrate is not a figure of authority but a tired, distracted man who confuses K with a house painter. When K tries to defend himself with logic, arguing that he has done nothing wrong, the court simply stares at him. Here lies the central horror of the book: the system does not operate on logic. Josef K is an intelligent man, a man of reason. He believes that if he can just find the right lawyer, submit the right document, or speak to the right person, the misunderstanding will be cleared. He treats the trial like a math problem to be solved. But the trial is not a problem. It is a condition. In this labyrinth, the more he struggles to prove his innocence, the more guilty he appears. The bureaucracy is a living organism, designed not to find the truth, but to sustain itself. As we watch Josef K struggle against this absurd court, a question inevitably arises: why doesn't he just leave? Remember, he is not in a prison cell. He is not in chains. He goes to his office every day. He walks the streets of the city. He has money. He could simply pack a bag, board a train, and leave this insane jurisdiction behind. But he doesn't. Instead, he becomes obsessed with his own case. He neglects his work. He spends his nights writing endless petitions, trying to recall every detail of his life to find where he might have erred. He seeks help from a lawyer who refuses to leave his bed. He seeks answers from a court painter who claims to know the judges. He even looks for salvation in the arms of women connected to the court. Why does he participate in a game that is clearly rigged against him? The terrifying answer is that Josef K accepts the authority of the court. Deep down, he believes in the system more than he believes in his own innocence. This is where the political satire turns into psychological horror. The court is not just a government institution, it is a manifestation of his own internal guilt. He is a man of status, a chief clerk at a bank, accustomed to power and order. Without the validation of the system, he feels he is nothing. He cannot walk away because he needs the law to tell him who he is, even if the law is telling him he is guilty. He is his own jailer. The chains are not made of iron, they are made of his own need for validation. And this pathetic reliance on authority leads us to the most profound moment of the novel, a story told to him by a priest in a dark cathedral. A story known as Before the Law. Towards the end of the novel, exhausted and desperate, Josef K enters a dark, empty cathedral. There, he meets a priest who reveals himself to be the prison chaplain. The priest tells him a parable that contains the entire meaning of the book. Listen carefully. Before the law stands a doorkeeper. To this doorkeeper there comes a man from the country and prays for admittance to the law. But the doorkeeper says that he cannot grant admittance at the moment. The man asks if he will be allowed in later. It is possible, says the doorkeeper, but not now. The gate to the law stands open, as always. The man tries to look inside, but the doorkeeper warns him, if you are so drawn to it, just try to go in despite my veto. But take note, I am powerful. And I am only the lowest doorkeeper. From hall to hall there is one doorkeeper after another, each more powerful than the last. Terrorized by this threat, the man decides to wait. He waits for days. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into years. He sits on a stool outside the gate, growing old and grey. He uses everything he has to bribe the doorkeeper. The doorkeeper accepts it all, but only says, I am only taking it to keep you from feeling you have failed to do anything. Finally, the man is on his deathbed. His vision is fading. Before he dies, he gathers all his remaining strength to ask one last question. Everyone strives to reach the law, he says. So how does it happen that for all these many years no one but myself has ever begged for admittance? The doorkeeper realizes the man is dying and roars into his ear, no one else could ever be admitted here, since this gate was made only for you. I am now going to shut it. 1 year later, on the eve of his 31st birthday, the end comes. 2 men arrive at Josef K's apartment. They are pale and fat, dressed in black frock coats, looking more like second-rate actors than executioners. K does not resist. He goes with them. They lead him through the dark streets of the city, out into a deserted stone quarry bathed in moonlight. There is no judge present. There is no reading of a verdict. The bureaucracy has dispensed with the paperwork, now, only the violent remains. They strip him of his coat and lay him down against a stone block. Then, a horrifying ritual begins. One man produces a long, double-edged butcher's knife. He hands it to the other man across K's body. The other man offers it back. They are politely passing the weapon back and forth. Kafka implies something devastating here, they are waiting for K to take the knife himself. The system expects the victim to do the final job, to agree with his own execution. But K cannot do it. He refuses to spare them the dirty work. So, one of the men holds him by the throat, and the other thrusts the knife deep into his heart and turns it twice. With his failing eyes, K sees the 2 men leaning close to his face, watching the end. He gasps his final words, like a dog, he said, it was as if the shame of it must outlive him. Why do we still read this century-old nightmare? Why does Josef K's struggle feel so familiar? Because we are living in the world Kafka predicted. Today, the court is no longer hidden in an attic. It is everywhere. It is in the algorithms that decide what you see and who sees you. It is in the credit score systems that determine your worth based on invisible calculations. It is in the automated rejection emails from jobs you were perfect for, sent by a machine that never read your name. We are all Josef K. We are constantly on trial, judged by invisible standards, waiting for a verdict from a system that does not care if we live or die. We wait for permission. We wait for the right time. We wait for the gatekeeper to let us in. But remember the lesson of the parable. The gatekeeper was powerless. The door was made only for the man. The only thing keeping him out was his own obedience. Kafka's The Trial is not just a story about a victim. It is a warning against passivity. The system wants you to feel guilty. It wants you to wait on a stool until you are old and grey, begging for entry into your own life. Do not wait. The trial is rigged. The judges are distracted. The law is empty. Realize the absurdity of it all. Laugh at the darkness. And then, walk through the door. Because the only way to win this trial is to refuse to play by its rules. The search for truth is a lonely path, but you don't have to walk it alone. If you are ready to see the world as it truly is, subscribe. Join me on this journey into reality.